So I really lived a very like humble life, but I'm
Hmm.
still in LA, a big
Right.
city. So from the outside or, through social media, it
Hmm.
looks like I'm really having fun because I'm meeting all of these celebrities.
Yes,
I'm
you
hanging
are.
with Beyonce. I'm,
Yes.
doing all these really cool
Yeah.
things. But I'm just very blessed to be in a city in which there was
Hmm.
always something cool going on. But
Right.
yeah, I didn't travel for 4 years. I
Okay.
didn't, do a lot of like upscale type of things. I lived a
Hmm.
very humble life. And so because some of these shoots I'm only making, $150 a day,
Right.
things like that. So I really cut back and sacrificed. I
Hmm.
paid my student loans, I paid my phone bill, I paid my rent, and I just did whatever I needed to do to get by. And I knew eventually that was going to pay off in some way.
Welcome to Fortune Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Elijah. Today we have an amazing guest with us, and I'm excited to introduce you to him. Everybody, please welcome Josh Hurt.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
hey, Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having
I'm
me.
so happy to have you today.
I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So, for the people that are just new and they don't know you or me, how did we meet? Do you remember?
We actually have a great mutual friend, but we also attend the same church, One
Yeah.
Church LA.
Hmm.
And yeah, so we've been great friends ever since.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And it's been many years. Time
Many
has
years.
really, really flown.
Yes.
So, taking it to the very beginning, what did you want to be growing up?
I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a singer,
Hmm.
songwriter, all of that. I
Hmm.
started out in the church choir, and I just remember it being a very big choir. Sometimes, we would have the kids sing along, but most of the time it was like a small row of kids in front of the adult choir, and we would get like 5 seconds to sing a few words. And
Right.
every time it was my turn to sing those few words, it would just be something that came over me and just an
Wow.
excitement. And so even though it was church, which is more, about worship and your relationship with God, it still felt like entertaining and performing for me.
Hmm.
So that was really exciting. And I knew right then and there that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
I love that.
Mhm.
So, you were the one that probably brought it up to your parents to say, like, hey, actually, I want to do this.
Yeah, well, actually, they saw it annoyingly around the house
Okay.
all the time.
Okay.
So there would be music videos on or TV shows. And
Hmm.
even though I have a large family, I would be
Hmm.
right in front of the TV singing, dancing, and performing like nobody else was there. And they would say, "Hey, get out the way of the TV so we can see it." But it was something that I was so passionate about. So
Right.
everyone pretty much caught on quickly that that's what
Right.
I wanted to do.
You wanted to sing and perform. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
Okay,
More
Dallas.
so a suburb outside of Dallas called Arlington, Texas, which is
Okay.
where the Cowboys are, Six Flags, a
Hmm.
lot of cool things. So if you haven't been, you
I
need to
need
go
to
check it
go.
out.
I need to go. And with that, so you said you have a big
Hmm.
family. Get into that. How was your household?
Yeah, so I come from a very large household. I
Hmm.
have 5 brothers and 3 siblings, so eight
Woo!
siblings, which is a lot. And yeah, I'm a middle child,
Okay.
so that was very interesting. But
Hmm.
a blended family,
Okay.
a family with a lot of love and a lot of personalities, as you can
Hmm.
imagine. But growing up in that really large family really helped me to, adapt to different personalities
Hmm.
while also finding my own individuality.
Yeah. Was it hard for you as the middle child? Like, did you have an issue of where it's like, okay, you guys are going to see and hear me, or were you more quiet at first and then found your voice?
Honestly, I didn't have to do much.
Okay.
I've been myself my entire life, so always outspoken, always speaking up for myself,
Hmm.
speaking up for other people.
Okay.
But even though I was a middle child, everyone came to me independently,
Okay.
with different things that they wanted to talk about.
Right.
People could rely on me for different
Hmm.
things. And it also had its struggles. Sometimes I felt like the outcast or someone that people didn't really understand, but
Hmm.
overall, it was a lot of love and just a lot of embracing who I
I love
was.
that. I love that. And kind of with your family, what did your parents do for a living? Were they also into like entertaining or
Hmm.
singing at church?
So my mom is a poet.
Okay. Oh,
She's a
nice.
teacher, also a retired teacher,
Mhm.
but a lot of my songwriting interests indirectly came from her.
Okay.
So although it wasn't something that I knew as a kid that she was into or that she was capable of, it's
Hmm.
really crazy how genes work. And then just as far as my dad,
Hmm.
he was very athletic. He was
Okay.
a great football player during his school year, so very athletic, which is I really benefit from those type of things. But throughout the rest of his career, he was just always working,
Okay.
very hard worker,
Got it.
and so those two different things, someone that's learning a lot and
Right.
teaching a lot,
Right.
which is what teachers do, but also having the creative side and just the hustle and confidence that I get from my dad really made me into the beast I am
I
today.
know that's right. And with that, like going off of like growing up and your experience, how was it like in high school? Were you able to be in a culture that like maybe supported your creativity, or what was your experience like?
Yeah, so during my school years, I was really fortunate to always be in some type of creative aspect outside of just the traditional studies.
Right.
So, starting around, I think near the third or fourth grade, I was instantly in choir. And that was really cool because, I'm able to do music constantly inside school and out, constantly growing those skills. And I had an interest in band and instruments, but it was just a little bit too much to learn. So I do hope to one day still be able to pick up an instrument one day. But besides that, throughout my entire school career, I was able to be in music and also in school plays and things like that. So I think having those opportunities really helped me to develop those skills and get great feedback from my choir teachers throughout the years. And I always had a great relationship with them and felt like I was seen.
I love that so much. And now skipping to college, because I know you studied economics. So how did you
Yes.
go from the creative side
Right.
to economics?
So it's really crazy. My senior year of high school, I took an economics class,
Okay.
which was so random to me, but it was one of the required options. So I took that and got all A's in it. And that's not the only thing that encouraged me about it, but it was just one of those subjects outside of math and language arts that just really like clicked for me.
Right.
And I liked how it was something that you could easily apply to your day-to-day life when it comes to decisions and spending,
Right.
different habits that you make, but also being able to use historical data to make informed decisions on what you do tomorrow.
Right.
So taking that strong interest, I applied that to my college years, and I actually also have a minor in Spanish.
Okay.
Now, don't get me trying to speak it, but
Okay.
I'm pretty good at eavesdropping or
Okay.
translating something for someone. So
I love that.
it's really cool. But yeah, coming from Texas, obviously there's a lot of native speakers there, so that's
Okay.
something that really helped me to practice that.
Right.
And also one of my sisters, she went to Mexico for half a year to study Spanish
Ooh.
directly. So
Love it.
she probably doesn't know this, but that really encouraged me to, follow her footsteps
I
and
love
try to
that.
figure that out. So yeah, economics and Spanish is something that I still use to this day.
Okay.
And it's something I'm very proud of.
I'm proud of that for you. And I'm
Thank you.
happy to hear your story, because a lot of people, maybe it was like their parents or outside forces that encourage them to say, you know what, leave this creative side alone and
Yeah.
get into economics, be
Right.
serious. But I like that it was a passion that you had within yourself
Absolutely.
that keeps you as a balanced person on the creative side and then maybe on the finance and economic side. So definitely love that.
Yeah, so funny enough, when I was preparing for college, I actually didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Honestly, I just wanted to go to the studio.
Okay.
I wanted to do music. I didn't think that college was for me, and it's still not necessarily for everyone, but I have zero regrets
Okay.
going that route. Because it gave me a lot to fall back on, and it also gave me, those 4 years gave me a lot of life experience,
Right.
a lot of independent decision making at a young age. And so, but yeah, I remember vividly this one conversation with a lady from my church, and I told her, oh, I want to go to school for music business. I was very adamant about that.
Right.
She was like, oh, baby, you can do music outside of school. You need to do something else that's going to make you more well-rounded and something you can fall back on. And I still have mixed feelings about that conversation to this day.
Okay.
I think, there's a lot of people out there with lucrative careers in music business. And I
Right.
think that I could have really got some great skills from that. But
Yeah.
again, I have zero regrets going the route that I did.
Okay.
I would just always say for younger people to get more informed feedback or decisions from multiple people versus just one.
Just one person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that can kind of like truly change the path that you take. But you know, I'm still in the music business
You're
today.
still doing
So
your
here we
thing.
are.
And it's crazy how those voices play a part in our lives, whether we
Yes.
like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because on one hand, it's like, okay, it helped you to be well-rounded.
Right.
But on the other hand, you're like, maybe what if I had like studied and gone hard since day one? What would my
Yes.
path be like today?
Exactly. So that's why I committed to doing so much with music
Okay.
outside of school during that time. And we had a really nice studio for free for students to
Oh,
use
nice.
at University of North Texas, which is where I went.
Okay.
Go Eagles. And so, yeah, I was really fortunate to have that access to a nice studio and engineer helping me record all of this music. And, you know, I was really able to develop my sound even more.
Right.
Recording there, I was recording so much. They was probably sick of me.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it really allowed me to, you know, find my sound and get out that creative side of me while doing something that's so studious and tedious when it comes to
Right.
all of that studying that you have to do during college.
Of course. And it makes you not miserable because you have a creative outlet. I love that
Right.
your school allowed you to already like record
Oh,
because
yes.
a lot of schools, like even like the college I went to, we had access
Mm-hmm.
to a studio, but unless you were doing it for specific like school mandated
Right.
projects, you couldn't get in there.
Yeah.
So we would have to wait like 2 and 3 years before
Oh
we
my
even have
gosh.
access to that. So I love that from day one,
Yeah.
you were able to do that.
Yeah, well, I think people like me made them pull back on it a little bit. Around my fourth year, they were like, okay, you can only use a certain amount of hours, but because I was there all the time.
know,
I'm like,
that's right.
hey, big head, it's me.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, with another track. But it was a lot of fun. And like you say, yeah, it was something that was definitely a privilege. And I still look back at those days really
Right.
excited about what I was able to experience.
Right. So, flash forward to today. You're living in LA. You have a new EP coming
Yes.
out. So
Yeah.
that your music dreams are coming to fruition. But can you walk me from your journey from going to school in Texas to where you are today and all the in-betweens?
Absolutely. So after my time at school, I started to go into the finance career, and I'm a licensed stock trader. So that was something I'm really very proud of. Obviously, there's always a lot going on in the financial markets and the stock markets, things like that. So it's something that is really cool for me to be able to learn from that and apply that to my daily life.
Right.
And being in a lucrative career like that has allowed me to self-fund a lot of the dreams and
Okay.
goals that I have. And so I'm very fortunate for that.
Right.
I could have easily been doing, you know, the typical jobs for
Right.
creators, which I don't look down at, but you know, the waiters or you know, doing Uber or something like that, which I'm all for supporting any type of hustle that you need to,
Yeah.
you know, create capital to make your dreams come true. But I'm very blessed and grateful to be able to be in a career that allows me to do that, but also follow my dreams. And so I did that for several years, and I'm still doing that.
Okay.
But really taking my music career up a notch. And that allows me to, you know, do things at a quality level because, you
Right.
know, usually when you're starting out indie, everything looks kind of indie. It's kind of
Right.
like, okay, you did that with a homemade this
Right.
or that. But following the footsteps, a lot of the greats like Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Usher, you know, Chris Brown, people like that, I was able to see the quality of work that they're doing, but also being resourceful and, you know, finding different creatives that I can collaborate with and make things look much more polished than they normally would with someone
Right.
that's, you know, on an entry level as I was. So, yes, I started out doing that around 18, 19,
Okay.
making my own independent music while still, you know, working a day job that I'm still very proud of. And over that time, I was performing at a lot of places, music festivals around Dallas, fashion shows, which are actually my favorite
Yeah.
because I'm very much so into fashion and style.
Yep.
So being able to do my music while people are walking and
Yep.
grooving is really cool. It's actually low-key a crutch of mine. Like if you ask me to perform anywhere, I would prefer to perform at a big festival or a
love
fashion
that.
show because it's that instant energy that you
Right.
really need. Like people are there ready to like receive something that's different and
Yes.
new versus like your standard concerts. People kind of like, okay, what you
Waiting
gonna
and trying
give?
to see,
Yes.
are you going to be interested?
Right, like how good are you? But some of that energy is still there at the other venues, but at those type of events, it's high energy and they're just really open to something that's unique. And so, yeah, going that route, performing at fashion shows and things like that, I started designing, quote unquote, my
Okay.
own costumes, which is really cool. And
Yes.
that was really like, the late, early 2000s,
Okay.
where, between 2005, 2010. And so that's like the Gaga era and the
Right.
Terry Mcglare era, where like a lot of stuff you're adding embellishments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool for me. I went to like a lot of thrift stores, and I had a great seamstress back in Dallas, and we would just like
Okay.
make all of my costumes, and that's really cool. Fast forward to today, because I'm still making my own costumes.
Yes.
And so I'm really, really proud of that. And I never would have thought that I would like end up making my own stuff. I always thought I would have to outsource to someone else, but I'm really glad and fortunate that I had that early upbringing and,
Right.
able to see how to get it done and, letting nothing get in my way. So I did that for several years, and then moved here to LA in 2016.
Okay.
I took a step back from the finance career and just did a lot of like freelancing. I did a lot of music videos, TV shows. I did music videos with people like Drake and
Yeah.
Janae Aiko, and Netflix shows with Cardi B, and just a lot of other great artists, and being able to see how they're doing different things
Right.
on a set that may look big on TV, but it's really smaller in person. And it really reinforced how you use your resources, and how having a great team, you can make magic happen.
Yes. Yes.
And so I did that for several years before
Okay.
returning to finance,
Okay.
and that's where I am today.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for it. Like I said, I'm able to do things at a higher level.
Right.
With freelance, you're doing your thing, but you're really not making a lot of money.
It's true.
But the trade-off is you're meeting a lot of people, a lot
Right.
of actors, and actresses, and other dancers, other creatives that you can really connect with and create a family with. And I'm still great friends with a lot of those people today.
Yes.
And it also, again, exposed me to different directors and different artists that I was able to have direct conversations with, or direct contact with,
Right.
which is really cool when you're just, still up and coming. And so doing that for so many years has allowed me to do things at a much more high level of quality today.
Right. I love your story so much. And I have so many questions and
Listen, I'm
things
here
to
for
get
it.
into, because you just spewed it out. But these are amazing experiences that you had. The first I will say is, was it ever a struggle after college to say, you know what? Should I go into finance right now, or should I just move to LA right away and try to make my dreams come true? Because that's something that I face,
Sure.
where it's like, I tried to live like the actor life for like 2
get it.
seconds, and being like, I would say working as like a waitress and doing all of that, it gets tiring real fast.
Yes.
So I quickly decided to use my brain and get my MBA. I'm like,
I love it.
this is not for me. I'd rather use my brain to fund my dreams, because I have a big respect for people who are doing the Uber, because I've done it all. I've done
Listen.
Uber, I've done Uber Eats, I've worked as a waitress, catering, I've done all of those different things. But it takes so much energy that, maybe the creative side would start to be lacking. So I'm like, oh no, I need to have a different way. So with that being said, did you already know to just go straight to finance, or did you battle with, should I already just do the music thing right away?
Sure, that's a great question. So one thing about me, you mentioned struggle, and that's something I don't like to relate to.
I like that for
And
you.
so I knew right outside of college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but having great mentors and friends of older age
Okay.
when I was in high school really exposed me to different paths that I can take.
Okay.
So you can go into doing music, or
Right.
you can have a job or a career that you can rely on and do both. And so I was able to see a lot of great examples of that. Always had interest in finance itself.
Okay.
And so I'm grateful that I was able to jump right into finance right after school, and I have
Right.
zero regrets about that. I was able to, start paying off student loans, how those things are.
Right.
And able to really develop skills that I needed for adulthood. So,
Right.
yeah, I jumped right into that and was able to use that money and that capital to,
Fun to
start
dream.
recording songs and doing music videos and performing at shows. So yeah, I jumped right into it.
I love that. And that's wisdom to use your day job to fund your passion, because there's a lot of creatives who also are very intelligent, but
Hmm.
maybe they're thinking about like, oh, let's go the broke artist way because that's
Yes.
what we know. But this is going to open the door for people to think, you know what? I can use my college degree and my
Yes.
skills to get a job that will allow me to fund my passion. And even more so today where jobs are remote. So
Hmm.
that's definitely a big plug. Another thing is I've always loved your style. I think that's
Thank
what
you.
made me kind of cling to you. So by the time I
Listen.
met you around like I think 2017 or
Hmm.
so at church, and you would always like how you're dressed today, it would always be like a super amazing level. And
Thank you.
I kind of drew closer to that because for me, I always want to be myself, but
Hmm.
sometimes you get into spaces where people are like, oh, you're too extra, you're too
Right.
this. So I'm like, let me find the authentic people. That's
Yeah.
what.
No, I appreciate that. I've always, no matter where I'm at, of course, you're gonna dress a little bit more conservative
Right.
at church. I would hope so.
Yes, yes.
But yes, I've always believed in being who you are, no matter where you are. And that was something that my parents gave me the freedom to do at a very young age. I remember asking my mom one day when I was getting ready for school, I was like, can I wear this? Can I wear that? And she was like, you can wear whatever you want to wear. And even though it was probably something so small for her, she just wanted me to get out of her face. It was something that I still remember to this day. It just unlocked a level of freedom for me to be able to dress and put together whatever I wanted to. And it really gave me the imagination and freedom
Yeah.
to, just really explore and see what's out there. And although from an outward appearance, it may look like, oh, a lot of thought went into that. And humbly speaking, I really don't have to like
I love
do
that.
a
Do
whole
too
lot.
much.
I don't have to do too much. It just comes naturally to me. And
Right.
that's what I would encourage for anyone who, is wanting to develop their style or follow a new trend that they're trying to make, is just do what comes naturally to you. Even if you're trying something different, it's okay to look a mess or, look
Right.
different or look odd to people, because you're going to, the more you stick with it, the more you will develop it and
Right.
it'll
And
make sense
refine
over
it.
time.
Of
Yeah.
course. And with that, you learned how to at least do your own fashion or
Hmm.
collaborate. So for me, it looks like, or it sounds like you don't have any like mental barriers or nothing. If you think you want to do something, you do it. Is that true? Or,
Absolutely. So
okay.
I remember even in junior high, I was stitching my own pants, which is
Wow. So
really,
it's really was in you for a
yes,
while.
yes.
Okay.
So junior high, like I remember, and it's really funny. It's very, I guess you could say economical, but I would have these jeans, which were some cool jeans, but just
Right.
very plain. And so I would stitch different designs into
Okay.
them. And I was young, so I did like the feedback I would
Okay.
get, and I was like, "Ooh, I like those." And so I would go home, and since it wasn't really professionally stitched, I would just pull out the stitching and do a whole nother design the next day. And I'll pull up like, hey, look at
Okay.
these. So it was really cool. I actually kind of forgot about that whole phase,
Oh
but
my
now that we're
gosh.
talking, a lot of that is coming back to me.
Oh my God. So you would have your mom drive you to the fabric store and get you some fabrics, or
Listen,
how?
yeah, all I
Okay.
needed was a needle and some thread, and I would
Okay.
just do a little design, and they were like, "Oh," because junior high, not many people are customizing their own
Right.
clothes.
Right.
And so then in high school, it kind of elevated because that's when I started recording my own music at home, just a little computer and mic, and
Right.
I was just recording my own music. And it's crazy how like marketing was a big thing to me. This is when MySpace was really
Yes.
popping and
Yes.
everything like that. And so yes, I was creating these airbrush shirts that would say Josh Hurt Music, and then it would have like a cool little design
Okay.
underneath it.
Marketing.
Oh yes, it was really big. So I grew a really big following on MySpace.
Okay.
People knew my music. It wasn't, the best quality music, but it was starting somewhere.
Yeah.
And what I would do is take a lot of like popular beats.
Okay.
And they call them covers now,
Right.
but
Right.
I would
Right.
call them remixes back then. And it would be a popular beat, but with my original lyrics
I
on
love
them,
that.
because I wasn't really sure of how to like find producers or find my own beats. So it really gave me the skills to, apply the songs that I had in my head for so many years to beats and find the flow and song structure and things like that. So
Okay.
it's really crazy how the style and the music always went hand in
Hand in
hand, and
hand.
it just gave me this freedom of expression at such a young age and this confidence. You know, everyone was wearing famous, you know, that brand and
Yes,
schools and
yes.
stuff like that, which is cool. But I was wearing my
Your
own
own
clothes
stuff.
every single day. It was Josh Hurt music.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in finance, you're
Mm-hmm.
working in Texas, and now it's 2016 and you want to move to LA.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of prompted you to make that decision?
Honestly, growing up in Dallas, it's a lot more conservative
Okay.
than, you know, places like LA,
Right.
New York, things like that. It has evolved a lot since I've moved. That's been 9 years. But I just always felt like I belonged somewhere else. Not like I
Right.
was too good for Dallas or anything like that. But when I told people I was moving, no one was surprised or shocked. They was very supportive and
Right.
understood that, you know, I was relocating to where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really grateful that I took that leap of faith.
Right.
Honestly, I was very unhappy there. I felt
Okay.
like I was just, you know, going through the motions, not really doing a lot to advance my career,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's creatively or, you know, in the finance world as well. So yeah, I just took that leap of faith. I moved here with nothing secure except
Oh my
for a place to
gosh.
live, and you know, a little $2,000 401k
Oh my
account.
goodness. Was that not scary?
It was scary, but I was like 26, 27 at
Okay,
that time. So
okay.
I just knew like it's either now or never.
Right, right.
Because I had considered it at times before,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I was always concerned about, oh, what's my situation gonna be like?
Right.
Am I gonna have the right job and things like that? And I flew out here several times to make sure it's
Okay.
where I wanted to stay.
Right. Okay, that's good. So you
Yeah,
at least got
I
to
didn't
feel it
just like
out.
make the jump. I'm not that crazy or that bold. But I still moved out here with a lot of things unanswered, but I have no regrets. I mean, I'm still here. A lot of people
And doing your thing.
yeah, you know, have had to, you know, do whatever they needed to do. But yeah, I'm really proud of making that decision and that leap of faith because it was something that was necessary for me as a person. Forget the entertainment or, you
Right.
know, all of those other things. As a person, I needed to be somewhere else and just have a fresh start. And
Yeah.
that's what I got.
I love that. And I love that like your soul will pretty much tell you like
Yeah.
it's time to be in a place that more aligns with your
Mm-hmm.
just who you are as a person that gives you the most ability to express yourself creatively.
Right.
And even with that creative side, so you started to work on sets and work with some amazing artists that
Yeah.
you just name dropped. But how did you get connected to those like sets and opportunities? Were you just like hustling, networking, or they came to you? How did it happen?
Sure. So in LA or, you know, maybe even around the countries, there's
Mm-hmm.
different casting boards. So you can join different websites. I'm
Right.
not going to name drop until they pay me.
Okay.
But you can join these different websites and you're just constantly every day submitting yourself to these different gigs that pop
Mm-hmm.
up. And so that's what I would do. Because again, I didn't make this clear, but I left my job in Dallas and moved
Okay,
here.
okay.
And so I was straight up
Higher
freelancing.
stakes.
I was self-employed immediately from
Okay.
day one of moving here.
Got it.
And so I woke up every day and was just submitting myself to these different gigs. And, you know, some of them would not be so glamorous. You're just, you know, an extra.
Right.
But other ones would be like you have a prominent role or, you know, you have a speaking part. So that's pretty cool. And so that's what I was doing. And some of them, you wouldn't even know who the artist was until you
Right.
get there. And, you know, it was really cool because, again, I'm able to see that, you know, although I knew this, it's different from witnessing that person's aura or
Yes.
personality in person.
Right.
And able to see that they're just a normal person just like you
us.
and just trying
Yeah.
to make things happen.
Of
And
course.
so that was really cool to witness. And being that I wanted to be in that industry, I was getting firsthand knowledge and lessons on how everything is brand. And so that was pretty cool.
Did you have any anxiety? Because for me, going from like a W-2 job where, you know, things are paid on time, or right on time,
Yeah.
to going to where you're working on sets, a lot of things are net 30, net 60. And sometimes if you even get paid, or it might be such a low paying set.
Yeah.
How was that transition for you mentally?
Yeah. So one thing that I really did. And it's kind of like a pat on the back because I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but I just knew what I needed to do.
Okay.
I got rid of my car. I
Wow.
cut down on like traveling and things
Okay.
like that. I went to brunch every Sunday. That was a must.
We always did our brunch.
We definitely got to have our brunch. Right after church, we walking around the corner to brunch.
Yes.
So I really lived a very like humble life, but I'm still in LA, a big
Right.
city. So from the outside or, through social media, it looks like I'm really having fun because I'm meeting all of these celebrities.
Yes,
I'm
you
hanging
are.
with Beyonce.
Yes.
I'm, doing all these really cool things.
Yeah.
But I'm just very blessed to be in a city in which there was always something cool going on. But
Right.
yeah, I didn't travel for 4 years. I
Okay.
didn't, do a lot of like upscale type of things. I lived a very humble life. And so because some of these shoots I'm only making, $150 a day,
Right.
things like that. So I really cut back and sacrificed. I paid my student loans. I paid my phone bill. I paid my rent. And, I just did whatever I needed to do to get by. And I knew eventually that was going to pay off in
Right.
some way, whether it be just being able to be self-employed and say that I was doing my own thing. And there was different things that I know now that I wish I knew then that I could have done as a self-employed person,
Right.
different funding or different resources that I wish I would have been aware of. But I was only 26 and I was
Right.
young and just trying to figure it out. So it's something that really worked out for me. And I did it for, about 4 to 5 years until the pandemic hit and changed
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But it worked out for me and I'm really proud of that.
Did you kind of know inherently to do that? Like, that's obviously very wise, but maybe it's not as obvious to most people. Hey, cut down on your expenses. Hey, maybe not travel as much, maybe not overspend as much. Do what you can to make it work. Did you have a mentor or you just knew like, hey, just logically,
Right.
this is what I need to do?
It's funny you mentioned a mentor because although there's always been people that I got feedback from and things like that, I take a lot of credit for all the decisions I
love
make.
that. I love
and
that.
sometimes life is just the best teacher itself. You check that bank account and it say you got this much, then you're only going to be able to do this much with
Right.
that. And so I think just again the career that I came from, the schooling that I had, it really taught me about like decision making and
Right.
planning things out. And so I knew that I didn't know where my next dollar was coming from. So I got to work with what I have at the time. And so I also knew that I was a hard worker regardless. So if I
Right.
needed to go get a traditional job or if I needed to, do Uber or, some type of delivery service,
course.
I was going to tap into that just so that I can, pay bills and things like that. So, but yeah, a lot of it was just honestly winging it,
Right.
which it did give me anxiety a little bit because imagine winging it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, although some things I kind of got the hang of and habit of, and, I was able to see trends. Okay, this time of the year, things are pretty slow.
Right.
But there was definitely a lot of sacrifices. I missed a few graduations. There were family members that passed that I wasn't able to travel back home and attend funeral services and stuff like that for because I'm freelancing here and
Right.
I only got so much coins
Right.
to be
To
able
travel
to
all the way back.
yeah, especially emergency traveling.
Right.
That's very expensive. So although I was able to do a lot and have a lot of fun over those years and a lot of freedom, there was definitely a lot of anxiety and sacrifice when it
That you had
comes
to
to
make.
different things that were basic for most people as far as just going on a random trip or doing I wasn't able to do a lot of that and a lot of people didn't know that. It wasn't really none of their business anyway.
Okay.
But for someone who's maybe going through this path, I want to encourage them that no matter how things look on the outside, you got to do what works for you. And
Correct.
if that is for a period of time, a few months, a few years to cut back on things just so that you can jump ahead, I highly encourage that.
Right. And I thank you for being transparent and sharing that because if I were to only look at Josh's social media,
Yeah.
I'd be like, he's with a celebrity every single week.
Yeah.
He's over here living his best life. And it's true. But then there's also the behind the scenes where it's
Right.
like you're sacrificing, you're giving up certain things. And I think that gives perspective to anybody that's listening or that's a creative.
Right.
Another question, which for me, maybe my answer, I know my own answer to it, but I think that's like the Nigerian side and the confidence. But did that ever affect your self-concept or confidence? Because, you know, in LA, sometimes there's people like, okay, I'm going to this club, I have
Right.
this section, or
Yeah.
I'm spending this much money, or I just got back from this trip, and you're doing what you can, but then you
Right.
also see your bank account, like, what brunch can I do today?
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I'm still going, but which one can I do?
Right.
Did that ever affect like your self-esteem or confidence?
No, only because it was a decision that I made.
Okay.
It's different when you're kind of like forced into a situation,
Right.
whether it be, you know, moving to a place that you didn't see these things coming, or losing a job or something like
Right.
that. But I made all of these decisions. I left my job. I decided to do this in entertainment. And so I kind of was already prepared for that. And I saw where I was going, even though I didn't see it, you know, every single day. There were some days or some weeks where I didn't have gigs, and
Right.
things would get a little shaky. I'm like,
course.
okay, how am I going to do rent and Sally Mae this month?
Yeah.
But just having that inherent confidence that was unwavering. Yes, I did feel left out when, you know, different friends are going to, you know, these trips and things
Right.
like that. But speaking of friends, it really matters who you have in your circle.
True.
Because they understand your situation. And, you know, if you have the right friends, they won't look down at
On
you
you.
during that time
It's
of
true.
sacrifice. If anything, they're looking up to you because they're like, I don't know if I would be able to do that for how long I did it. But
true.
a lot of my friends have came back to me and say that they were really proud of me during that phase for, you know, sticking with it and, you know,
Right.
just doing what made me happy or what I needed to do. And so, yeah, just having the right friend circle and, you know,
Right.
family members that's willing to support you, at least morally, because even though it was something I stepped into and, you know, I struggled financially sometimes, I didn't really like, maybe it's pride, I don't know, or
Right.
maybe it's a Virgo thing. We're very
Yes.
private.
Yeah.
I took a lot of stuff on the chin and just really
Kept it pushing.
tried to figure it out on my own, and still being humble enough to ask for help if I needed it. But, you know, I just kept in mind that, hey, this is the path that you chose. So
Right.
there's going to be ups and downs and you just kind of have to flow with it.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I'm really just taking that in.
Yeah.
And that moral support is everything. And you know, I've told you, you've been an inspiration to me, just like seeing
Same.
you always like, thank you. Seeing you always just like as a strong figure. And there's something you told me when I was 24
Come
and I
on.
was struggling. We had gone to brunch and I was like so sad because I'm like, what am I doing? At that time, I was working at a marketing agency, but then also too, I have like other dreams, other goals. And you know, maybe the path. I knew the path I chose, but it didn't seem so clear. It looked really
Right.
foggy. And you said, Jessica, don't worry. In 5 years, you could be a whole different
Aw.
person. And I kind of took that to heart, and that stuck with me for a while, that
love that.
things can change
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat. And we've
Yeah.
seen it, like even with friends in Hollywood, one day they're nothing and the next day they're, you know,
Popping.
starring and popping and everything.
Right.
So that kind of stuck with me. And I think I just wanted to highlight the part of having good friends and
Yeah.
friendships for the moral support, because sometimes that's all you need. You know, you're not
Yeah.
about to just like dip and leave just because it's hard. You have to
Right.
continue on your path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, just, you know, having those positive reinforcements in your life, but also within yourself, because I go through a lot of stuff that even my closest friends don't know
Right.
about.
Right.
I do have friends that inquire, you know, we check in with each other to see
Right.
how we're doing and things like that. But at the end of the day, people are only going to know what you share.
It's true.
And so still to this day, I go through a lot of phases. I have my ups and my downs, but you really got to build up that internal strength and that
Right.
confidence and direction of where you're going, because I've had some really high moments and I've had some very low moments, and you just have to remember that everything is cyclical, and, you know, nothing is always going to stay the same. It's
Right.
not always
Nothing
gonna
is forever.
No, it's not always going to be staying high, but you can stay high within yourself.
Right.
And that gives you the resilience to, you know, battle and stand up against anything that comes your way.
For sure. And I think like for me, faith, and to see like a lot of creatives, even in like spaces like church or even just like community events, that was really helpful to me to see like how other people weathered their storm and made it out, such as yourself with your new EP coming out.
Yes.
I do have a question. So how did things change for you during COVID? Because during that time, the industry was not as clear. I know there's more strict
Yes.
regulations on set by virtue of the pandemic. So how did that change anything for you?
That changed drastically for me.
Okay.
First of all, everything shut down as far as like filming and doing commercials, TV shows, all of that.
Right.
But coincidentally, I was already venturing my way back into my finance career.
Okay.
So it was nothing but God that I was able
that you
to.
already started.
Yes. So
Okay.
the same week, it was the first week of March 2020,
Yeah.
everything shut down. I
Right.
started a new job. And so
Wow, you're the luckiest person of all time for
Literally.
that specific thing.
yes, and it was a crazy switch of roles for me and a lot of my friends.
Right.
During my whole time of freelancing, they were working and having steady jobs. And unfortunately, a few of them lost their job at the same
Right.
time that I started a new job. And
Right.
fortunately, finance is always needed. So it was very secure for me. So I felt slight guilt during 2020 because,
okay.
you know, I'm flourishing, you know, I'm making more money than I ever have. And I'm went back to the studio after being a long time away from music because now I can actually afford studio time and things like that. So 2020 was actually a great year for me.
I love that. You're the first person that
Yeah.
I've like talked to in a while that they're like, you know what, 2020 was a good year for me. And I love that for you.
Yeah, it's, you know, I still dealt with a lot of the stuff that different people experience. I lost loved ones. I lost friends to actual COVID. So that was really sad. I got COVID myself, which I know I'm not the only one, but it almost took me up out of here.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But it was also a great year where you were able to sit down and like really try to figure things out and, you know, work on yourself or maybe even make stronger relationships with your friends because you have a lot more time to do
Right.
that. And so I'm grateful for it. You know, the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so I
Truly.
felt like that those 2 or 3 years of the pandemic really built me up to become more grateful for the more simpler things and,
Right.
you know, really find out who I am at this next stage of life. Around that time, I turned 30. So
Okay. Congrats.
that's also like a transitional time for a lot of people. And so it's really crazy how life works. It's like it sits you down, but you also are able to like really sit and focus
Right.
on the next chapter of your life. So that's what it did for me.
So then I have a question, like, did that kind of cause you to kind of get on the right track or were you already planning it because you coincidentally were already planning finance? Was that so you could get back into the studio or you just felt like, oh, let me get a job now. I'm feeling like I need a change.
I was just honestly getting worn out with the freelance lifestyle. Some people, they do that for, you know, their entire career. They love being self-employed. And I still have a lot of entrepreneurial aspects
course.
to myself, but it takes a lot of discipline, you know, financially, budgeting and things like that. And for me, I just like more of a lifestyle of comfort.
Yes.
Knowing that, you know, you have that money consistently coming in. And after freelancing for so long, I realized that I don't have to stop doing that. I can still do, you know, a traditional career while also doing these things outside of work. And, you know, I'm still balancing that. It takes a lot of time and a lot of focus. But yeah, I really was able to jump back into that field, mainly because I just was, again, burnt out by doing the freelance lifestyle. And I knew I didn't have the long-term discipline to stick with that.
Right.
And, you know, it just so happened when that shutdown happened, I was really searching for an outlet, a creative outlet. And it was the perfect time. I wanted to get back into music after not doing it for so long. And it just really came to me very quickly. I was able to develop a new sound that was really cool for me. I was able to experiment with a lot of different sounds. So yeah, it worked out perfectly.
I love that for you. And I love that after so many years of struggle, well, you don't identify with struggle, but like after, you know, like maybe some tough times waiting for what's next, you kind of got thrown into your path of having that consistent income and then funding your dream, funding your passion.
Yes.
How do your family feel about it now that you have your new EP, which I'd love to learn a little bit more about?
Yes.
How are they seeing that? Because they actually cultivated cultivated it in you at a young age, it could have gone a different way. They could have been
Yeah.
like, Josh, stop singing in front of the TV or move
Right.
out the way or what are you
Yes.
wearing?
Right.
So they encouraged you. So how do they feel about it too?
I think it's really cool. Sometimes it's direct or indirectly when different siblings come to me and say that, they're proud of me for doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I also come from a family where a lot of us are, self-starters.
Okay.
And, whether it's creatively or business-wise, for example, shameless plug. My sister has a Black-owned coffee shop in Arlington, Texas, where I'm from, called Cup of Vibes, that I'm really, really proud of.
Love it.
Just watching my mom grow up, she was always doing things, starting her own different businesses. And, she's written books. She's done stage plays.
Wow.
She's done Easter baskets. Like
Wow. She does everything.
She does so many different things. So always knew that I had it honest and, just internally to like find a way to make things happen. And so I come from one of those families in which, they're proud of you. It's not always spoken or,
But
shared
you
with
feel
you,
it.
but you feel it. You feel that pride just from the name or just from, knowing where you come from, that we're always going to find a way to make things happen. So I'm really proud of that. And I do feel the pride from my family.
I love that. I love that. So before we get into our end of podcast questions, can you get a little bit into your EP? I'm excited
Yes,
to
let's
check
get
this
into
out.
it. I'm really excited about it. So yes, my EP that I've been, really pushing for a while now, it's called Ultra Flame, which is about just really burning away old negative energy, but also waking up that fire within you that makes you stand out and makes you self-confidence. And you can also translate that into passion when it comes into relationships or passion towards the things you really care about. And so it's a title that came to me authentically. It just really stuck out to me. And it's really just about elevating that internal fire that you have, whether it be confidence or just, sticking with whatever you want to do. And the sound of the EP, I'm very, very proud of. It's something literally for everyone. There's a little bit of rap on there.
Okay.
There's some acoustic guitar on there, R&B, some
Love
funk,
it.
some disco vibes. And I'm really proud of it. All of the music is written by me.
Amazing. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I've been writing since the age of 9. And so like writing is something that I'm very confident about, and it's one thing I don't play about. Like you can critique me on a lot of things, but when it comes to my songwriting,
you
stay in
got
your lane.
it. Right.
And so I'm really proud of it. It's a lot of different sounds, but me and my engineer Devin, we were able to play with a lot of sounds that we added on top of the music to really, really make it unique and my own individual sound. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be coming out very soon. I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes work to make sure it's a proper rollout and make sure, these days it's a lot of emphasis on the visual side of things, and I'm a visual artist, so it goes hand in hand. So it's going to be very high quality, things for people to gravitate towards. And it's always a goal of mine to encourage other independent artists to do things at a very nice level. So that's why I take my time with things. And, I don't rush putting anything out because I put so much into it. So I really want to encourage other people to take their time and make sure that it's a really nice product that you're putting out there, because you're going to have to speak for that for 5 years, 10 years from now.
Forever.
Yeah. And so I really want to make sure that it's something that people can look back at or look to now to like inspire them to go hard with whatever they're wanting to do. So
I love that. And I appreciate that. I can't wait to check it out. And I appreciate your dedication to excellence, because that's what makes me cling to people like Michael Jackson, right? Everything is so excellent. Maybe it's like that Virgo.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We don't play.
I appreciate the dedication to excellence and putting your own unique sound out there. So me, myself, I cannot wait to check it out.
It's going to be good. Thank you.
So we've come to the end of the podcast. And I have questions that I love to ask my guests at each podcast. So ignore the word struggle, but it's still in there.
It's okay.
What was a struggle bus moment for you?
I would say, making that transition from, the college lifestyle into just normal adulthood.
Mhm.
There were a few jobs that I had to take that weren't so glamorous, and but you just have to try to pay bills. But you're kind of in this weird phase, especially if you're a creative, where you feel low key like, oh, I'm too good to be at these places or to be
Mhm.
working with these
Yeah.
people. I should be on the TV screen already, or I
Right.
should be on the radio, things like that. And so that was definitely a transitional stage for me, but it also really humbled me and helped me to connect with people on a, more, day-to-day level.
Right.
Instead of thinking that, you're already a star, you're
Yeah.
already this or that. And so, yeah, I have no regrets about that, but it was definitely an interesting phase of my life.
I love
hmm
that. The next is, what moment were you most proud of yourself as it relates to your profession?
Um, I would say going back into it
Okay.
in 2020 was something that really made me proud because,
Mhm.
going from working for yourself then for working for others again can be kind of
Mhm.
humbling, but I saw the bigger picture and what it was going to do for my personal life as well as my music career. And so
Right.
I'm really proud that I took that leap of faith during a time in which it seemed like the whole world was falling apart. I
Mhm.
was able to find something positive and beneficial out of that. So I'm really proud of that.
I'm proud of you too, for
Thank you.
sure. What does success look like for you?
Success to me is defined by you being persistent towards
I
something,
love that.
no matter what the outcome is. So, for example, me putting out music, I know that at this stage, I'm not about to be on the top of Billboard.
You never
You
know.
know, yeah, and anything can happen. We see it every
Yeah.
day. But just doing it because you love it, and I'm not doing it to chase money or chase fame, anything like that. It's just doing it because I genuinely love music and I love creating and I love inspiring other
Mhm.
people. I love seeing how people get excited when they hear a new sound or,
Mhm.
how music makes people feel. And so that's how I quantify or qualify success is just, you know, inspiring others and making people feel good.
I love
Mhm.
that. And our last question for
Come on,
today
drum
is,
roll.
yes, what piece of advice would you give to people who are trying to reach their dreams?
My biggest advice, and I'm sure people have heard this before, but
Mhm.
really stick with it
Yeah.
because there's going to be so many different roadblocks that come your way, whether it be finances, whether it be health. There's always, different
Something.
pandemics and stuff
Right.
going on now.
Mhm.
There's stuff going on politically that we're
Mhm.
always facing against. A few years ago, I lost my dad, and that was really tough.
I'm
And
sorry about
thank
that.
you. And that really kind of like threw me off, but he was one of my biggest supporters. So hearing his voice is what's keeping me pushing today. So
Right.
nobody's life is perfect. No matter how good we may look, I'm a Virgo, so I'm always look
Okay,
good.
period.
Um, but um, just knowing that, reminding yourself why you're doing what you're doing is the
Right.
most important thing, and just sticking with that. No matter how things look, there's been many times where I was struggling financially, but I really care about this music, and I know that I got to get it out, and I got to get this project against the across the finish line. And so
Right.
just really staying committed to knowing what I want to do
Mhm.
and how it's going to affect others once this is done
Right.
is my biggest, I guess you can say, encouragement. So finding that inner voice to encourage yourself, no matter how things look, no matter how your
Mhm.
bank account looks, no matter how many friends you lose or, family members that may pass, things like that.
Mhm.
All of those things are really important, but it's really going to mold you into the great person that you are. So just stick
Wow.
with it. As simple as
Yeah.
it sounds, just stick with it.
I love that. Thank you so much for such an
Thank
amazing
you for having me.
conversation. And I love this because, we talk, but then it's nice to hear like the depth
Yeah,
behind and like
it's a
what
lot.
inspires your action. And I'm so proud to know you as like a pillar. I know sometimes that could be a burden
Mhm.
to carry, but you really carry yourself well and you keep it pushing. You've always been positive. And one thing I appreciate about you is you never allow your hard experiences to spew out onto other people, which is very hard in itself. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate you for that. And I'm proud.
Thank you so much
Mhm.
for providing me this opportunity. It was a great conversation. And yeah,
Yes.
we definitely got to get into some things that was really cool. And I hope it, helps other people. And yeah, I can't wait to see where things go for you next.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was such an amazing episode. Josh is so incredible. Please be sure to check out his EP. We'll have all the links in the description below. Until next time, besties.